Well, welcome. We want to welcome everybody to our City Council meeting tonight, August 7th, 2025. City Council is specific to a public hearing for truth in taxation, and we appreciate seeing everybody here. We will start tonight's meeting by inviting Councilmember Smith to offer either a thought, invocation, or there's a third choice. I don't know what it is. A reading. There you go. It'll be his choice. And then following Councilmember Smith, we've invited Councilmember Hipp to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember Smith.
Our Father in heaven, we come before thee this evening. We are so grateful to thee for the many blessings that thou puts out on our heads. We're thankful, Father, for the opportunity that we have to live in America, to be able to have opportunities and to be able to have freedoms that are afforded us here. We are grateful to live here in Brigham City. Father, this is a great city and does so many great things. We're so grateful for the blessings that thou hast blessed us with as a city. Father, we come before thee tonight, and we have heavy things on our minds as we look at the budget and the future of our great city. We pray that we will be able to have open minds, be able to listen, be able to have inspiration to continue to help our city move forward. Father, we love thee, and we say these things in the name of thy Son, our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Councilmember Hipp. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This is a public hearing specific to Brigham City's truth in taxation, proposed property tax increase. This is for Brigham City's taxation. We will invite our financial director, Tom Cotter, to present the reason for it. And then we will have a motion, or we'll ask the council for a motion to open a public hearing. We will invite Brigham City residents to publicly comment at the rostrum. We'll invite you to state your name and where you live, and then we'd love to hear from you for up to 3 minutes. So we'll hear from Mr. Cotter first, and then we'll go to council for a motion.
All right, thanks, Mayor. Yeah, tonight we're just going to go over, like as the mayor stated, this is a truth and taxation hearing for Brigham City. Council has discussed at great length this year's budget. I will be explaining again in detail of why inside the council tentative budget there is a tax increase and what the plan is for that. So as we look, because I think I've gone through numerous truth and taxations, every time I go through them, it just reminds me of this quote by this professor talking about the universal truth about taxation is that people want government without paying for it. The history of taxation is a story of a struggle among individuals and groups intent upon achieving that goal for themselves or for their group. We all want good roads, dependable fire trucks, clean parks, reliable services. Fortunately, government does cost money. I've yet to find that money tree we talk about in the budget every year, but haven't found it yet. So the budget process and how it happens, it's hard for me to believe that we're 8 months into it. We started clear back in January, first talking about a budget as we met with department heads, got their budgets in, met with the mayor's office, and went through this process with the city council, numerous work sessions. We've had multiple public hearings about this year's budget, about employee compensation, utility transfers, the tentative budget. Tonight is the public hearing on the property tax increase. Look at that. Now we're down into August. These are all the different steps we have completed. And tonight will be the TNT public hearing, and then 2 weeks from now is when the council will have the opportunity to adopt the formal approved budget for Brigham City Corporation. So everyone should have received by now one of these wonderful notices at your home, for your business. These come out from the county. That's part of the stuff we talked about on the last page. I know it's really hard to see. This is one that Brigham City gets for a property that we own. So in there it lists, okay, here's the different taxing entities that are charging a tax on your property. So this one includes the school district, the city, water conservancy, mosquito abatement, all those different entities. There are numerous entities going through truth in taxation this year inside Boxelder County. Most people are aware that the school district is going through one. I believe their meeting is next week. So for those that would like to make comments, school district, that meeting is next week. Sadly, the city council has zero say on what the school district does with their budget. I think Hal's also going through a truth in taxation, and so is Willard. The important part I wanted to make people aware, I know you can't see it very well, but if you go home, on the back of your notice, it's going to talk about how they came up with the property value, what it means, and what to do if you don't agree with it. The county assessor is over at that wonderful building over there. He is the one that sets your property's value. January 1st, he sets your property's value as it was on January 1st of this year. That's the value that is set by the county assessor. They go through all the processes. The county auditor then mails this notice out to you. If you disagree with that number, if you're like, man, he was incorrect, and I know he's incorrect, and I have facts to prove he is, please appeal. That's available through the county. You appeal to the county auditor. There's a process that the auditor goes through. They have a hearing officer that is not an employee of the county that hears those cases, looks at different assessment rules, regulations, whatever the correct terminology is there. And if you have the information, you have the evidence, your value will be reduced. The other part on here is the important part about tax relief. So there are many different property tax reliefs available to different folks throughout the county. Some of these are state programs that are mandatory. Like if you meet the qualification, it has to be given you. Others are county that have some discretionary in them. There's a veteran exemption, an active duty exemption, a blind exemption, which is interesting. All these have always changed. I used to help in this area in my previous career. For whatever reason, the blind exemption has never changed. It's one of those, anyway, get off Tom's. Well, moving along. So if you meet one of these qualifications, in indigent deferral or indigent abatement, the tax, you'll hear a lot of times we'll talk about a circuit breaker over at the county. These are excellent programs that are available to people on fixed incomes that making a minimum amount. And if you meet those qualifications, it talks about on there, I believe some of the qualifications, example, it just says, you have to be 65 years of age or older or disabled or an extreme hardship. That's one is discretionary on the county level. I'd encourage people to, if you fall into these categories, make sure you're applying for them. Because they're there to help. All right, moving right along into the, okay, why are we here? Why is Brigham City proposing a tax increase of 4.35% overall or 4.6, depending on which numbers the tax commission looks at? So as we go through our process, Brigham City has what's called a fleet fund. In that fleet fund, view it kind of just like almost like a separate entity of a business. We have the general fund, like where the police reside, the ambulance, parks, streets, there and there. We have the utility fund, for power, water, sewer, waste treatment. They reside in there. We have a golf fund, golf course, different funds for different types of revenues or categories. We have to make sure stay in those buckets. Years ago, the city had the idea of creating a fleet fund. So the fleet fund, what its purpose is it goes out and it purchases all the vehicles, all the fleet for Brigham City. It then leases that equipment to the different departments. So the ambulances and the fire trucks that we have bought recently, those are bought inside the fleet fund. The fleet fund then turns around during the budget process, sends out a lease to the fire department, the ambulance, power, if you're in the utility fund, the different departments. Those departments and that payment had all been set up. So at the end of the useful life of the vehicle, let's just talk lease vehicles for now. We'd say, hey, those are going to last us about 4 or 5 years. We'll just do easy math. It was $50,000 to get a vehicle. All right, every year, at least you're going to pay back $10,000. So at the end of 5 years, we have $50,000 to go buy a new police vehicle. So instead of, like a lot of different entities may use a different lease program, or the city was actually paying itself to go and maintain an up-to-date current fleet system. Because we had found it's so costful to run older equipment. There's just issues with it, especially when we're talking public safety, where seconds matter, minutes matter to respond quickly. To have equipment that is reliable makes all the difference in the world. And also just the cost of maintaining an older fleet is great. Many times it costs more to keep an older vehicle on the road than to go buy the new vehicle. So that's how the fleet program was operating. We were finding, so what we ended up doing, we were finding, we'll talk to this slide and I'll go back. We were seeing huge, I call it fleet creep. It was costing so much more to replace those vehicles than we had originally bought them for. I put up 3 examples of true things that are happening inside of Brigham City. You can see an ambulance that we bought in 2018 for $184,000. This year, to buy that same ambulance is $320,000. Garbage trucks have gone from $240,000 to $450,000. The fire trucks, it's right in the way. You can see the dramatic jump there. 2002, it was $332,000. Just in the last couple of years, it's now over $1.1 million. And even in that fire engine, like we can say, oh yeah, of course costs are going to jump in 20 years. You look in on that fire engine and even on the garbage truck, I mean, all of them, look at the dramatic increase that has happened just in the last year or 2 years. Where you can see on that fire engine, the increase was 43% in 1 year. That's what we were dealing with inside our fleet fund. So we have a fleet committee made up of a couple different directors and our fleet manager. We talk about this idea of, okay, how do we avoid this? How do we avoid it? But how do we help pay for it? How do we get ahead of this game? We decided to introduce an inflationary adjustment inside the fleet fund. We said, all right, we know a police car, truck is going to be on the road for 4 to 5 years. What would it be like if we said for every year, you're going to get a 2% escalator? So if you're a police vehicle, they now cost $80,000 to get on the road. Figure 5 years, it's going to be $88,000 to replace an $80,000 truck. And now that's what we're going to ask the fleet to get paid back through the lease program. So, back to this thing, when we made that adjustment, what the change was inside the general fund. So we're not talking utility fund, we're not talking the golf fund or RDAs or any of that fund. This is just the general fund. Police, ambulance, parks, recreation. What we saw happen with that adjustment was an increased fleet by $406,000. That's, you can see the difference there. So I put up there, hey, in fiscal year 25, it was $880,000. Fiscal year 26, it's now going to be 1.2. That was the main driver. We met with, during Mayor Bott's budget presentation, clear back in May, we talked about this. That was the main driver. And as we met with the council, after the mayor's budget proposal, we also have a benefits committee at the city. We became aware, because of the utilization of our health insurance program, that in the fiscal year 2026, we are going to see an insurance. We don't know what that increase is yet, but we are estimating it to be around 14%. That was an additional $70,000 to the tentative budget that was not included when the mayor first presented his budget. So the council took that on, they put that in their budget, and through the discussion of many different things, what we ended up doing in the tentative budget is when we first proposed, the mayor was talking really, when it was first talked about, first number that was ever floated out, we didn't have any information at all from the county. We just knew, hey, we're probably going to need to increase property taxes by $450,000 for the fleet this year. At that time, we said it's probably going to be about a 15% increase. Didn't have any information from the county yet about property taxes. We went forward at that. The council met, we talked about things, got numbers from the county. Turned out Mayor Bach's real number was around 10%. And then through the different discussions with the council, where the council decided to not take all of it to property tax, but to take some to sales tax, some to ambulance revenue, we ended up like the notice that everyone got. They're going to increase your taxes about 4.6% is the number that went out in people's valuation notice. That's where we got where we were. The total increase in property taxes that is proposed in the council's tentative budget is $155,000. That is what the 4.5% is going to fund, is $155,000. That money is earmarked, flagged, tagged, whatever word you want to use, for the fleet expenditures inside the general fund. So that's what is happening. Now we're going to talk about how we do it. So inside of Utah, why you guys all got the wonderful notice about the certified tax rate for the taxes going up, is inside of Utah, the property tax rate, it's called the certified tax rate. What that is every year, a taxing entity, they are entitled to the same property tax budget they got the preceding year. So that's a guaranteed rate. So they do a calculation and say, all right, Brigham City, you got $1 million last year, you're guaranteed $1 million again this year. You have to use the same property that existed last year at this year's rates. Then they go through and figure out what that certified tax rate is, and come in and say, this is what it is. If you need more than that, if you need more budget than you did last year, you have to go through a process called truth in taxation. That requires us notifying the public through tax notices, valuation notices, posting on websites, on newspapers, going through that whole process, which the city has fully complied with. We have submitted all that information to the tax commission, and they have green-lighted us that we have met those requirements. Certified tax rate is also important to understand how the certified tax rate works. It looks at Brigham City as a whole. It doesn't go by and say, okay, what did I get from Tom's house last year? What did I get from Councilmember Jensen's house last year? It doesn't equalize things like that. It goes as a whole. And so if it says, all right, Brigham City, your total value went up by 6%, the rate's got to come down by that percentage so you're collecting the same amount of money. The problem that sometimes happens is, well, maybe my home increased in value faster than Brigham City as a whole. So now I have a bigger slice of the pie for this year. And that can change from year to year as the county assessor does different things as they go through their valuation requirements, the reappraisal areas. So even though the rate will come down, not every home is treated the exact same because of the different parameters that pertain to your parcel. So some of the examples we talked about how the certified tax rate works inside of the state of Utah. So in this scenario, I create a fictional city. It's called Gotham City. There are two properties inside of Gotham City. There's a house and there's a business. So, oh, it's a Batcave and it's Wayne Enterprises, but no, it's just, there's a residence and a commercial property. They both are assessed at $425,000. In Utah, your home is taxed at 55% of its assessed value. So if you look up there, you can see, hey, the home's assessed at $425,000, but it's only going to be taxed at $233,750. Gotham City comes out and says, all right, from these two homes, I need $1,000 to run my city services. So it's a simple algebraic equation. They go out and say, all right, I need $1,000, $658,000 of value out there, divide the two, gets me a tax rate of 0.0015. You apply those to the properties. Property one pays $355. Property two pays $645. They're $1,000. Gotham goes on and continues to fight crime. Year two, what happens is Wayne County the assessor goes out and he reappraises those properties. They have a 10% increase, both of them. It's important to remember here in this scenario, and this is what happens inside of Utah, just because there is a value increase, there will not be tax increase. Not how it works. Go back to how truth and taxation, how it's all set up. It is budget driven. So in this scenario, Gotham City still comes out and says, I still need the same $1,000. That's fine. I got what I got last year. I'm guaranteed that. That's what I get. I don't need to do a tax increase, but I now have additional value. So if you look between years, I know I'm pointing my finger. I don't know if my cursor shows up. So if you look up here, in year one, the taxable value is $658,000. Now in year two, it is $724,000. They still get the $1,000. You do not get to get any money off a reappraisal. That is not allowed under state code. It does not happen. What people will see a lot of times is, hey, my value did change and I'm paying more taxes. It goes back to the percentage of the pie has changed. That's what's causing the issue there. It's not because of the reappraisal, it's because of your percentage of the pie of all of Brigham City. Some of the different scenarios that play out. Okay, like, so what happens? This kind of shows them the next scenario. In year two, residential values increase 10, commercial values increase 20. You can now see, hey, my resident, I'm paying less tax. Cool. Even though my value went up, I'm paying less tax than I did last year. It's because the commercial property outpaced, so as a whole, all of Gotham, what is that, about 15, 16%? That's how much their value increased by. So residential is only 10, commercial is 20, commercial is now paying more of the pie. If that makes sense. The different scenarios that also exist. All right, so this is in this scenario on the left talks about, all right, what happens when Gotham does need a tax increase? Commissioner Gordon wants more money. You see what happens down here is, in this scenario underneath, Gotham's now asking for $1,100. And so that's what's driving a tax increase. Really, that's, a lot of people will get fixated on the rate inside of Utah's tax system. They'll say, well, the rate went up, it's tax increase. That's not how it works. A tax increase is when an elected body, such as yourselves, go and say, I need more than that $1,000. I need more than last year's budget. Because for whatever reason, I just need that money. And the purpose of the TNT hearing is to explain to the public why we're asking for that $100. And so our ask, Brigham City's ask, is tied to the fleet fund and for health insurance for employees, but mostly it is the fleet fund. And it applies the same is true. There are scenarios where values do decrease. And so it functions the exact same way. If values decrease, we're still entitled to that same $1,000, so the tax rate's going to float up. Cover that. That's not a tax increase defined by the state of Utah. How does new growth play into all this? We know Brigham City's growing. There's lots of new development we can see happening. One of the flaws of the certified tax rate truth and taxation process is there is no inflation number built into the system. When the state tax commission and the county auditor go and set the certified tax rate, inflation is not included. They look at a lot of different things, including our calculation percent, our collection percentage, how much do we actually anticipate collecting from, appeals. Okay, historically, how much have people killed inside of Brigham City? But we are not allowed to put in an inflationary adjustment at all. New growth does give a little bump to account for new homes or buildings, but it doesn't help cover the increased cost to serve everyone, unfortunately. I did a little calculation here. So let's say the average home value of new growth was $540,000. That would pay a Brigham City tax of $500. We would have to have 250 homes pay for one police officer at $125,000. I know a lot of times people think, hey, new growth's going to be the savior. It's not. The services that are coming in, they require the same services that exist. And yes, there are impact fees that help offset some of that impact on our systems, but they still require reliable services, good roads. They want fire trucks, police to show up when they call 911. And we're glad and fortunate to live in a community that has that ability to do those things. So how new growth plays into, we just learned about the certified tax rate and all the fun math behind it, super exciting. So how new growth plays into this. We know Gotham isn't just going to stay two homes forever, for a home and a business. We're going to show up. So if you look at this one, inside the first year, the example we talked about, second year, someone has built a new commercial property. Sweet, awesome, we're growing, there's new growth. How does this work? Certified tax rate process says, okay, you got $1,000 in budget last year. You're only allowed to go and look at property 1 and property 2. You're not allowed to go look at property 3 to set your tax rate. Because you have to look at the properties that existed in the previous year to set the certified tax rate. You come in, set a certified tax rate. That tax rate then gets applied to all the properties. And now you have a new baseline budget of $1,700. And then that's what rolls forward. So if you look at the bottom there on year 2, you can see that $1,759. That now becomes the new baseline budget for Gotham. That is what they are entitled to going forward. So that first year, lack of a better term, there is a little bit of a windfall of $759. But again, that's not the savior that it feels like it should be. We're continually seeing additional costs that require that $759. Here's the next sheet I wanted to share with people. These are these wonderful Avengers. They don't live in Gotham, they're somewhere else. But so these are their home values. These are actually homes that are of residents of Brigham City. And I have a Zoom thing that's blocking. I can't see. I went to update with the actual 2026 numbers for these Brigham City residents, for the Avengers. I was unable to access the county system today, so I had to estimate what the values were. So again, I know, like, full disclosure, I'm Holt in this scenario. That is my home. That is my home. Like, I couldn't find my valuation notice. I don't know what I did with it. So I think my home value actually went down this year. But in this scenario, I said, okay, let's just assume everyone's went up by 6%. This is what the impact is of the tax proposal that's being proposed by Brigham City through the Avengers. So if you look like at Hulk, if you look at me, last year I paid $342 Brigham City. I had a total tax of around $1,900. This year, my Brigham City tax is going to increase by $16 a year, or $1.34 a month. And then my total tax, because of what is being proposed by the school district, is jumping to the $2,200 number. Obviously, 16 of that difference belongs to Brigham City, but the majority share of that proposed increase belongs to the school district. So as you can see, like, I get it. Property taxes are not fun. They're not good. We don't want to do them. But as we've talked, we looked at those costs that we've talked about. We looked at the fleet costs. We looked at the insurance costs. Those are ongoing costs. They're not just going to be a one and done. So it's best practice. Our recommendation to the council, and I say ours, me, I don't have a mouse in my pocket or anything. The recommendation to the council over and over was, you got to tie these things to ongoing revenue. The council debated, had good discussion about what if we did this or capital, did this funding. And I would remind them, some others would remind them too, hey, that's a one-time fix. It just kicks the can farther down the road. And that is the nice part about property tax. I know it's weird for me to say nice and property tax in the same sentence, but property tax is stable. As we talked about, as we went through explaining budget we got last year is the budget we're going to get next year. We know what that is. It is a stable source that helps us understand. It helps us hedge against the volatility of different revenue sources. Like some of the revenue sources that we agreed upon, that council agreed upon, let's not take it all to property tax. Let's take it to sales tax. Let's take some to ambulance revenue. Those aren't stable. All indicators are we should be fine, like things are going okay, but they're slowing down. We're not nearly as rapid growth as we have been in previous years. So that's what we're tying it to. And then this is just some information for the council and for the public also to show this is what rates have done historically for the city. And you'll see that big split there with the library tax and the general operations tax. Just a reminder to everyone that this year we've moved the library inside the general fund. The library used to have its own fund, like we talked about previously. They're now inside the general fund. One of the also key reminders I wanted to let people or remind the council about, I guess, is so last year we did not go through truth and taxation process. There was a utility increase. We felt like with everything else going on, probably not the best time to do a property tax increase. However, the world didn't stop with CPI. Like things continued to increase. There was inflation. Last year's inflation was 2.7%. This year's inflation was 2.7% again. That's June to July. So really what that means is what cost me $1 in 2023 now costs me $1.05, 6 cents. So that's the hard part with that truth in taxation, the certified tax rate is there's not an inflation adjuster in there. These are our rates. These are our Brigham City's rates compared to the other entities around us. So, I mean, we want to remain in the meat. Don't want to be, obviously, we want to avoid the high end. We want to be a good place for businesses to come. We feel like we've hit that good spot as we work with economic and community development of businesses that are looking to come here, or to relocate here. And that was really the presentation I have. And just to remind again, everyone and the council that there is no action tonight. It is just a public hearing, and any action that the council will take is going to be on the 21st of August, when the council will adopt the approved budget for Brigham City. With all that rambling, is there any questions the council has that I can answer?
Any questions? Clarification? We will entertain a motion to open a public hearing specific to Brigham City's taxation.
No moved.
Second by Councilor Hip and a second by all those in favor?
Aye.
Now in our public hearing specific to the Brigham City tax. If you'd like to make a comment, please come to the podium, state your name, where you live, and 3 minutes for public comment.
Forgive me, we're going to have to leave a little early. We're dealing with Alzheimer's here. But, folks, we trust you. We put you in the office. We do business with you. We don't hate you. We love you. Because we do, that we put you in the position you are to maintain the city, spend the money wisely. I know there was a time when I heard a candidate for governor get up and said, how can I go on voting for these people, and then we're going to tax us out of the house. Now, well, that's a little bit overboard. But now, when you get on a fixed income, you got Alzheimer's in the family, I can see you can be taxed out of your house because you don't, those of you who don't on a fixed income, you won't understand this. The day's coming. Now, folks, please, you know that there's a way to cut back. We've got a fire truck that goes out on every ambulance call. There's no need for that. There's a way to cut back. I propose that what we really do is what every business has been taught. You could always cut back 5% and never miss a beat. I propose Brigham City reduces their tax by 5%. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I have to leave.
Yes, I'm Colleen Fuller, and I've watched my taxes go from $500 clear up to $2,100, and I bought my house for $105,000. So I see Brigham City vehicles driving around all day long, not doing a thing. I look at all of our drainage. Nobody cleans the gutters, but I pay for that. And they don't stop, clean them out, and keep water flowing. And it's just not that. The garbage pickup, the guy drops the cans and breaks them, and they say, we'll replace them one time. After that, you're charged for the next one. I don't think that's correct. If they can't put that garbage can down softly and drive to the next one, I shouldn't be responsible for their garbage can repair. And another thing, I know my neighbors pay less than I do. We've all talked. In my house, I haven't got new siding. Yeah, I had to put a roof on it. But I pay more than my neighbors. And I want to know why. I pay $300 more than anyone on my block, even up to $5. And I run a business. And I know how to cut, and you know your route, and you tell them guys, you do your route and get back. Don't just sit there and idle a car and sit in the air conditioning, because we pay for that gas. Now you guys, I don't know that. I need police cars are driving around in my cars, and Brigham City has all our cars. Why? I don't understand that. I watch our fire department head down to lunch every day on Fifth West. Nowhere to go, they go get lunch. Don't they make lunches at their place anymore? I mean, there's ways to save money, and I don't understand how you guys run this. But I'm starting to really think you don't care about us. You're running us all out of here, and the businesses are all going to leave. I've watched all the car dealerships move out. And I know it's because they're taxed way too high to be here. So that's all I'm saying, is you're running all of us good people out of here. You're going to get stuck with a bunch of people that can't pay nothing in all these apartments that you've put up. I know what it brings. That's not the kind of community I wanted. I wanted good people. So where Shopco is all a bunch of apartments. All down that way is all apartments. And I know what it brings. My little street used to be so quiet. Now I have them racing up and down my street all the time, all hours of the night. So I don't understand why we have all these apartments, but they're saying, oh, we don't have growth. Where's all these apartments going for? 3 minutes. I'm done.
My name is Ben Soholt, and you wanted to say where I was from. Do you want an address or just like I'm from Brigham City, so okay. So first of all, I want to thank you guys for starting off the meeting right with God first and country second, and doing all that in recognition. I also want to thank you for the time that you've spent on the budget. I know that budgeting is hard. I do it too. And for this particular one, I was looking at the taxes that I paid, just the Brigham City taxes, not the rest of it. In 2024, it was $401.50. And under the proposed changes, I saw that it was $404. I feel that $1.50 or so is well worth being able to buy new equipment for our emergency responders. So thank you for not fleecing us over this. I think this is a very moderate tax increase. It looks bigger on the percentage of the tax increase just because they go off of the math is dumb. That's why. Let's just put it that way. If you're not a math major, you probably don't understand how it works. I still don't fully understand how it works. It's been explained to me several times, but hopefully one of these days we can simplify that a little bit. But again, my home's worth $436,000, and if I'm paying an extra $1 or $2 a year, I think that is a very, very modest increase. So I thank you for doing that for us. Thanks.
Caleb Barker, I live here in Brigham. I was listening to the math and just realized my beef's not with you, it's with the school district. So appreciate that. I've heard that you jockeyed around a little bit to make sure that this wasn't as high as it could have been. So I do appreciate that. If you'll keep doing that, we'll appreciate it. And then limit the amount of high-density housing. That's it. Thank you. I'm going home.
My name's Ron Terry. I live here in Brigham. The thing that irritates me right now is years ago we brought in the charter school, and the kids or the parents of those kids that were going to the charter school paid for it. Now we're all paying for it. And I look at the schools that are empty and the schools that are going to be built, and I don't know where all that money's coming from. It's not coming from $4, and that is of an increase. We're talking about millions. And we have two schools that are totally empty, or not totally, one totally empty, one that has Dave Jesper's wife and that her business there. And I'm glad we're at least putting some things in it. I hate to see buildings that are empty. We're getting too many of them here in Brigham. I just want to have things make sense as far as what we're shelling out and what we're doing with it. Okay.
Malone Mogard, Brigham here. I just wanted to say I agree with a couple that have come before me. I may not agree with everything that you guys do, but I know many of you and consider many of you friends, and I appreciate the fact that you guys put yourself out there and are using your time to make the hard decisions. So I really do appreciate the fact that you're going through this process. And I just want to say again, the budget the increase started out much higher. The fact that you guys have brought it down so far, I appreciate the fact that you're trying to tighten the belts like everyone else does. I think a lot of the frustration this year is possibly other tax increases that are occurring at the same time. And I know that there's a lot of factors in the increase in property taxes, but I'll just give you my office building that I have over by Smith's. In 2021, I paid $2,100 in property taxes. Last year, I paid $35. And I know that that's a lot of different factors, but that's what people are feeling right now. And so the fact that we're being hit by tax increase after tax increase is a little bit tough, and it's hard to swallow. But I appreciate the fact that you guys have brought it down to a 4% increase or 4.5%. Because you know, we're all expected to tighten our belts, and I appreciate the fact that you guys are at least trying to manage that and make it manageable for the rest of us. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. I appreciate you guys.
I'm Chelsea McFarland. I live here in Brigham. I have a friend that couldn't be here tonight, and she asked if I would ask a question. She realized that there's like the fleet cost that's doing increase for the taxes, and then the insurance cost. And she was wondering if you guys have shopped around for insurance. Like when we all get insurance increases, right? We usually go out and shop for something else. She was just wondering if there has been other shopping around so that we can maybe save a few dollars. And then the vehicles, if we've looked into other ways of replacing vehicles, and if we do it all at once, and maybe you guys talked about this before I got here, or if we like stagger it, like every 5 or 6 cars renewed, and more of like a lease option. I just heard the word lease. I don't know that I understand that, but more like she said that she knows somebody that has a company that they've, or other cities that they buy cars from them, and then they end up selling them back to this company for their depreciated value, and so they actually end up getting some money back from cars when they have to sell them out. So just wanted to know about a couple different options there. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm Jerry Lynn Nielsen. I'm from Brigham City. I just wanted to clear up a couple things that have been said here tonight. I used to work for the county, so I've kind of seen both sides of this. I actually work for Nucor Steel now. And one thing is that I want to echo the sentiment is cutting back and looking for ways to save. And that's a key thing in the industry that I work in now, is that we are constantly looking for ways that we can save. So I would just echo that sentiment and encourage that. One thing I want everyone to know about is that there are abatements available if you go to the auditor's office in the courthouse. If you're on a fixed income, I would highly recommend that you go and see them, talk to them about that. You may or may not qualify. It's not a guaranteed thing, but it is something that is worth your time to look into. Another thing I wanted to say is that if you have a problem with the value of your home, go talk to the assessor's office and have them come by and take a look at your property, and you may need to provide them with some comparable estimates and things. But again, that would be well worth your time to look into that. Just some things that we can do on our side, and I think there's some things that you guys can do on your side too. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me just push a pause just for a second. We have noted that this is a public hearing. It's been agended what we're going to be talking about. So I've neglected to say, council, we can respond to some of these questions if we want to. And so I apologize I didn't mention that. This young lady here, you basically just said exactly what happens in the city. Yes, we don't replace everything at one time. And over the last couple of years, frankly, with the police vehicles, in particular, the brand that we buy, we've been able to actually, at the state, with the state contract, that's what we purchase under, we've been able to resell those at more than we buy them for. And so, yes, we do that. And in insurance, we do have a benefits committee that meets frequently during the year to talk about benefits. But yes, before the budget year, yes, they go out and they look at ways that we can, if there are ways that we can save money. Good questions. Go ahead. Somebody wants to comment. Sorry.
My name is Heather. I live in Brigham City. Actually, something that you just said, and maybe this is already done, or maybe government rules don't allow it, but I just had a thought. Are you guys allowed to sort of, I don't know what the word is, but to get together with other local governments like Perry, Willard, whoever, and as a group
backstop for insurance, so more people, more buying power.
No, that's
Government has tricky rules, so I
no,
don't
I
know.
think Derek speak to that.
Yeah, I mean, what, like employee health insurance, is that your question? Yeah. I mean, through an interlocal agreement, that's definitely something we could do, with health insurance, specifically different cities. The percentage an employee pays versus the percentage the city pays, those things are not always similar, which could affect rates. So, probably not something that would necessarily be in the best interest of one or the other. And to be honest with you, your history, your employment history affects your rates significantly. So sometimes growing that base or making that base smaller could benefit you or could not benefit you. If you look at the slide of Brigham City's about 10-year history of health insurance rate increases, I would put that slide up against any municipal government in the state of Utah. We have done really well. A lot of it's been luck with healthy employees, but we have done really well through the CARES Act, through Obamacare, and the changes that have happened to health insurance. Those numbers have been really, really well for Brigham City and its employees over the past 10, 12 years.
Okay. I was just curious. I work for multi-billion-dollar corporation, so I know for them, their numbers work in their favor. So I didn't know, government's different, but I didn't know if that's good. And I'm not being flippant. I have an honest question. How much is anything that we say here tonight, does it have any impact on what you end up doing? Because honestly, we feel like it doesn't a lot. I think a lot of citizens feel like, yeah, we can go to the meeting and we can say something, but they're still going to do whatever they're going to do.
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah, please.
Maybe back in May, sure. That's we
Okay,
we
that's
had
fair.
work sessions. The budget was presented. I mean, we are listening, and the final budget will be adopted on August 21st.
Mhm.
And some of these comments could have an effect, yes. But, and I've said this for 4 years now, and I'm running for re-election, and I'll say it for another 4 years. You need to start coming out in May, see the budget presentation. Then we have like a work session almost every week up until June 31, where we go through and we talk about and we show with council. That's when council gets it and starts talking and asking questions. Prior to that, from about February to March, that's when I meet and my city administrator, Derek Euler here, meet with the department heads who've already met with their departments, probably starting in December to February, to see what their asks are going to be and what they're going to par down. We do invite city council to come and participate in those meetings, but we can't have more than two. Otherwise, we need to have a public meeting. Sure. And so we just say whoever shows up first can come, and the rest we're going to lock the door and turn you away, because we haven't noted a public meeting. But for the public, you're welcome to again May. That first city council meeting in May is when I present the budget that we've come to as staff, our best suggestions. It's the mayor's budget at that point. We've gone through the fleet. We prioritized a list that's probably this big down to what we can afford in the general fund in our fleet. And we've gone through with the director's asks for employees and what the budget's going to be. And we tell them no, to be frank. But then the work sessions and the city councils after that, we talk about whatever. Then I turn it over to the mayor pro tem and the city council. They look at it for about a week and a half to the next city council and give us an idea what they'd like to talk about. Do they want to talk about fleet? Where do they see some things that maybe could be trimmed, or they want some more clarification on why we did this? There's been a couple times where they've actually suggested over the years we need to put more money into something and take something from something else. So I will tell you that we do not have a rostrum here of yes men. They push back, and a lot of times they push back hard, which is what they're elected to do. But on August 7th, the reality is the budget going to be cut, $1 million or something like that? Yeah. My guess is probably no, but I don't know. It's still a council's budget. But I think I don't want to be offensive, but it's kind of disingenuous for the citizens. And I say this because I was that citizen who came here back in 2004 or something, right after Utopia, and complained because there was a hole in the road that Utopia left. And I was getting flippant, and the mayor told directed the now current Public Works Director to go fill that hole. So I've been on that side as well. But yeah, we take we listen. I think out on the street, these folks are in the grocery stores. They come in and buy their T-shirts and get their taxes done, and they talk to the city council members, and they bring those opinions back, and we work them out, and we see what would be best for the city. And so yes and no, I guess is the answer. I don't know if that's the
No,
answer.
that does
the
answer
honest
it.
answer.
So the meetings, they start in May, that's when the work.
Yeah, the first so
that we can have some impact that have time.
Yeah, that first meeting in May is where the budget presentation is.
Okay.
And then they'll set up work sessions for weeks after that where they come and we'll get input from the directors, and they'll ask questions, and in the public comment in that you can ask your questions. Yes.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you. That's a great question.
And I want to just add to it, simple answer for me was, yes, individual involvement does have an impact. I've watched it from here when we'll have someone who cared, understands, has a history, and they come forward and they say, these are my concerns. They have some validity. Not to say someone who isn't prepared doesn't, but it is always best to be prepared. Like the gentleman here who had a concern with county tax and recognize, oops, I'm in the wrong place. That happens to us all the time. You can always reach out to members of the council and say, hey, I've got a concern, like the mayor was talking about. I've got a concern. Can you talk to me about it? Because I know it's intimidating. Government is complicated. We have to be reminded. You saw what Tom shared about how they do the magic math that Tom understands. And maybe you understand and a few here, but we have to constantly be reminded. And I just think reaching out, asking questions, being involved really makes sense. And appreciate you being here. You're involved. And you're going to have opportunity to go look at the school board if you have concerns there, to county commissions, planning commissions. If anybody, since we can talk, anyone ever attended the planning commission? A large group comes in with some concerns. It impacts the planning commission's decisions. So, yes, you have the ability to make a difference.
Just come earlier. When
Get prepared, ask
when there's
questions,
time.
and come and make a difference. And you can always run for office.
Nobody wants to be running for office.
Thank you.
And I would like to say it does matter that you guys do come, even at this late stage in the game, because hearing the people on the fixed income and how the overtaxing and how it to me, it kind of validates the pressure we put on the mayor and administration back in May and June to cut that 15% down to the 4.6%, because I do hear about things, and I know I'm going to hear it to the very end. And so it kind of, to me, validates the fact that I'm pushing for that lower tax rate, previously.
If I could, this young lady here mentioned a couple things, Shopko and the car dealerships. Young moved, of course, business. We got several business owners here. The number one rule about business is location, location, location. So Perry was able to get Heritage Dodge to move out to Perry. Young Ford is still in Brigham City. They're just down 1100 South because there's more cars that drive past 1100 South than there do on Main Street. There are plans for that building that are in the works that I've seen plans for in downtown. Shopko is an interesting animal. We would have loved to have seen commercial there. Problem is that when whoever owned Shopko and owned that block, in order to get Wendy's to site on that, made what they call a CCNR, which I don't know what that stands for. Otherwise, it's a promise that's recorded with the plot map that gave Wendy's final decision on any commercial that would be done on that entire area. And Wendy's wasn't allowing, and that decision was made back in New York because it's a corporate store. They weren't allowing it. We had several developers there that were trying to cite commercial. Wendy's wasn't allowing it. The only thing they would allow is residential, and so that's why we have what we have. And there wasn't anything the city could do because it's a legal document that's recorded on plat. Other than that, I'd probably need a little more context on the business side of it, because we've got a lot of businesses that are flourishing, I think, here in Brigham City, especially on Main Street. It's filled up a lot more than it has before. In fact, one of our presenters here just applied for a facade grant that we granted to beautify downtown Main Street. But great questions, because I did with the city. I can honestly say city council, city administration had no idea about that CCNR. It was attached to that deed. It surprised all of us. Okay. Back to the public hearing.
Mayor, I want to say one more
Sure.
thing too. A lot of times, things that we are trying to do to cut money doesn't come up in this budget. Like, for example, redoing the garbage cans. We're losing money on a project. We try and figure that out and cut it if we have to, or we've been trying to get out of the conservancy district, or we redid sewer rates with Manaway, or we're working on ambulance rates with all the local communities around us. These are things that aren't in the budget, but we're trying to cut everywhere we can. And one thing people don't realize too, they're saying it doesn't affect us, but it does. I mean, all of us live in the city. We have to be here, and our families live here, and my siblings, my mom, my brother, everybody's family. It affects us too, and your comments do make a difference. I mean, nobody wants to raise taxes. We try and cut it as much as we can, but it does affect every one of us and our families.
You have something, Councilor? Okay. The other thing, you mentioned the garbage trucks, and I'm glad you did, because you highlight the point that we need new garbage trucks. Because the hydraulics, you can go down to Public Works and you can see a solid stream of hydraulic fluid going right down Forest Street into the maintenance bay, because those trucks need to be replaced. If you'd come to the microphone to make your comment.
The one that is in my neighborhood is a new garbage truck. So I don't know if he doesn't know how to control it. So it's like, it seems like the old guy's retired. We got a new guy. So
you're probably right. Our Public Works director is there, and he is taking a note.
And I mean, mine got broke, my son's got broke, and they told him, it breaks one more time, you have to buy it. And he's like, well, I didn't break it. And so
sure,
it's a concern.
Absolutely.
I've had the same garbage cans for 30 years, but I had to replace one. So it's like,
oh, that's a great comment you could approach us with, because maybe we just need to train the guy better. And without public comment coming back, we would never know that.
Yeah, well,
great comment.
We get on our Facebook and we say stuff on Brigham City, and you know, and lately it's just, I feel everything's negative, and I can feel the effect, and I'm just like, what do you do? I know things are going up. I run a business. I know. You guys get my quarterly every 3 months, and I run it out of my house. I can't afford a building, or I would be in a building.
Sure.
So, and we're just 4 of us that run this company. And I know we have to make cuts. So I know everybody else can. So.
There's a great comment. The only thing I would say is stay off Facebook.
I am, because people are rude. I mean, and I wanted to make another point. I never received my property tax from my house. I did for the other house, but I didn't this one.
The notice?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd give the county probably till the middle of next week.
Okay.
And go visit over at the county.
But I knew it was over utilities and stuff.
The property tax and utilities is a different thing.
Well, I know, but people's wages and insurance, and I know that. I understand.
So we're talking about
that.
not receiving, because you mentioned not receiving. That
and I didn't receive it.
Yeah, that's for the county, but the county doesn't have any utilities.
Okay.
So that's why I just trying to get some clarification. The utilities would come from Brigham City.
Yes.
Because you live in Brigham City, but the county is just the taxation.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I didn't receive it, but I wanted to come in here and put my 2 bits in because of the garbage trucks and some of them Brigham City workers. I see them and I'm like, and they drive nice trucks. I mean, I have one. I know how much I paid for it. And I'm like, we don't need those nice trucks for these guys to work in. They can be a low work truck, because my son drives one. So I know you can get cheaper, so do cheaper. So,
We, even though they're a nice truck because of the state contract, we actually get them for the same price your son gets that cheap truck for, and then we're able to sell it for more
Well, then
because we
hook
buy
me
our
up.
stuff up. I can't. You don't work for the city.
I do too. I do get my taxes.
That's not employment, but that's a good comment. Thank you.
My name is Steve Pocock. I live here in Brigham. One thing we haven't really discussed tonight, it's probably not that applicable tonight, but utilities is a big price, and we do, the general fund, when I see how much is transferred over, it just, the hair on the back of my neck just stands directly up, and that is part of truth in taxation, as far as I'm concerned. It truly is. I know that you guys do a good job, and I hate to see negativity myself. There's just too much of it going around. But honestly, we don't see statements on utilities, I mean the fees. We see we've got a lot more people concerning those apartments and others that have gone in. That the fee that we pay of almost $7 a month just to be able to pay the bill, that adds up. You guys have control over that. And I think that, it feels like you got your hand in my pocket every time I come in and pay my bill. And I come in and pay it because I can't afford, an 85-cent stamp or wherever they are now. It's getting ridiculous. Honestly, we're just to the point, just as that first gentleman said, when I moved here 13 years ago, I paid $1,200, and it is over double on my property taxes. It won't be too much longer until I'm going to be in his boat, and I'm going to have to sell my house and move because I can't afford it. I just can't afford it. It takes more than 1/12 of my total income to be able to just live in my house. And I know that there are people in town that are doing worse than I am, that they can't really afford that sort of payment. So I just wish that we would spend every effort trying to, just as he said, cut and save and scrimp, just like the rest of us do. I go to the store and doggone if I look at stuff and say, I'm old enough that I look at the price of something and I say, I'm just not going to buy it. If they want it that bad for that price, they can keep it. And that's the way it's getting. And we really need to be judicious about the way we spend our money, about the way we treat other people, and consider how difficult it is for people to get by. And I appreciate everything you guys do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, you brought up the bill, if I could, just to kind of explain. So the rate that's on your bill reflects the actual cost of the electricity.
Yeah.
The service price, the service charge that's on there reflects the actual OEM, the operation. So what you're paying for that is you're paying, there's employee in there, there's the wires to your place, and there's all of the stuff to make the grid work. That's what the service charge is. So it's not just to pay. It actually pays for the grid. So I just wanted to make sure that you understood that.
I do understand that, but I work for an oil company, and we generate electricity and sold electricity as fact, and I know that there are ways to go onto the market, and I think we can probably, if we were to study that, we could probably do a little bit better on electrical rates than we're doing right now. I really do believe that.
I wish that we had more of what your profession used to generate. Unfortunately, we don't. They're war on fossil fuels, making electricity a lot more expensive.
Yeah, well, we do spend that electricity up there, and we need to spend it just as fast as we can. Sometimes we let too much water go by, as far as I'm concerned.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If I can say something real quick. We sit up here about twice a month. And if those who know me know, I say the same thing to everybody I know. Don't hide behind your phone. You guys have so much power, so much influence that you don't even realize it by coming to city council. We do this about twice a month, and there's about 2 people that come all the time. And I'll be honest with you, I listen to both of them all the time, and I actually get a lot of feedback, and I hear it. We all have neighbors. If you were to come since May talking about the budget when it was prepared, I was the first one up here battling back on fixed income residents and things. We can't do a 15% tax increase. But when people who go on social media think the entire city council and the mayor, we don't listen. That's not true. The more you tell us, the more we listen. We won't listen to you on Facebook. That's not right. That's not appropriate. But there's a way to communicate through the website here at Brigham City. You can contact the city council. Our phone numbers are there. But man, come to city council, because when you get on public record, you tell us what you're going through and what you're dealing with. And even if it's a garbage can, I can't honestly say how much power and influence you guys have. What we don't know, we don't know. We work for you.
Well, and the lady mentioned the abatements, that abatement is so low that if you can afford to eat, it's, it's just right there. I mean, I can't get an abatement because I make just that much too much. It's kind of sad. It struck it out here.
Thank you. I've got 2 people if you want to come up after them and come to the.
All right, I am Elena. I live here in Brigham. I've lived here for almost 10 years. So, I don't know. I understand you guys have a very difficult job. I'm very well versed in politics. It's not an easy job. I appreciate every single one of you. I guess my main question is, feedback for us as citizens to know what we need to do to, especially when it comes to the school district, because a lot of this is school district major increase. I was at the very first meeting last year that they did, voted against it, was not a fan. There's much easier and better ways that they could do it. I don't know. I guess my main question is feedback from people who work from the city for us as citizens to be able to be more proactive with what we need to do, so that way our taxes don't go sky high from something that city council and mayors don't really have a lot of control over.
Interesting question. I know that they invite us there once a year to talk about growth, so they can try and predict and plan for that, because they don't have the ability to they don't have an economic development wing to show them what's going on. But I know that they have their board meetings and they have public comment. I know that you can call down there and speak with one of the assistant superintendents over the schools. That's timing wise, I'm not sure, but I know they're an elected body as well, not the school superintendent, but the actual people that are elected. You can speak with them. School board, thank you. I'm not sure what to suggest other than what we suggested here. Mr. Jeffrey suggested kind of like voting, other than doing early and often, but you can only vote once.
I voted against it. So.
I think one suggestion I can tell you, what's so hard is, even for me being a city councilman for the last few years, before I got here, you don't really understand how the cities are running and understand all the ins and outs of what's happening. But the more you come to city council, even as a citizen like yourself or watch online, the more you see it and hear it and see what's going on in the city, kind of can get a grasp of where we're going and what needs to be done to get there, right? Because a lot of things we're doing, we're talking about future growth. We're talking about the future of Brigham City. Some of the decisions are hard. The budget's hard. We would all love not to have a flat. We'd all love to say no tax increase. We're great. That's impossible. It's really hard. Goal is It's like, look, when it came out of 15%, my goal was to get it under 5. We all fought, we all discussed it. I think we're there. We want 0, yeah, but that's by sitting up here for the past since January, February, you kind of see that's almost impossible to get to 0 based on what we're trying to go at the city, right? Now the school district, it's the same idea. They got goals and things, but that's their issue. Unfortunately, with their increase and with what we're trying to do, yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow for everybody. We get it, we understand that, respect it, and we get it because we all have to pay that same bill like you do. And I know their meeting, I believe, is Tuesday. They'll flood them. They haven't voted. It hasn't been approved yet. I talked to one of the school board members this last week, and I told that person my opinion. But listening to their opinion, there is stuff the school district needs to do. But I'm not in favor of the increase as much as they're doing. But I'm a voter just like you are. So
Yeah.
I guess what if I could just add, there's a big difference between the school district and the city.
Yeah.
We can impose, because of growth, we impose impact fees to help mitigate increase of services. We can't do it for what's already here to improve it. There has to be an increase of service. School district doesn't get to do that. They don't get to impose based on the growth that they're asking me to come and inform them on. They're more reactive, and so they're behind every time. They're always behind. Derek, did you want to say something? Okay, move forward. So it's difficult for both. I'd say we have it easier than the school district because their only income is property taxes. They don't have something that they can resell, and their planning is guessing, but they can't. None of us, even if it was set to 0 right now and we weren't voting on this bond, I can tell you none of us, if the school district came to us and said, listen, we can see that 2 years from now we're going to need a new high school. 5 years from now we're going to need a new high school. Let's go 5 years. So starting now, we'd like to increase your tax rate now to pay for that then. We would be in the same position of everybody voting it down. But it doesn't vote the problem away. That high school still needs to be built. Difference is that the high school that needs to be built today in 2025, building it in 2030 is going to increase. You can see just on the numbers, just in fire trucks for Brigham City. It's hard. I'm voting for the bond because that's kind of the vision that I see is that we can vote it down. We voted it down last year. The problem didn't go away. They rethought their thinking, in my opinion. They've come back with a lower number and figured out how to fund it different ways, even though there are different bonds. And you need to understand that they're bonding, but there's different bonds and bond structures and ways to pay for it. It's not all property tax. We're seeing the big property tax increase, but the last one was all property tax, and they've come back with different ideas to try to accomplish that. We don't do that now, and 5 years from now, when the schools that they are proposing to replace are in even worse shape, and we have had the growth that they're talking to me and the Tremont mayor about, and now we're already out of space for classrooms on the outside of the buildings. Now we're starting to flood into the playground, so now our kids can't play. It's going to be millions more for what could have been millions less in 2025, in my opinion. That's just my thoughts as a private citizen, not the mayor of Brigham City.
You asked also on this, how you approach it, right? How do you approach it? And I think you've demonstrated that very well tonight. In my opinion, you came forward, you were genuine, you had some concerns, you brought them up in a very civil way, you were open to understanding. Hopefully the feedback you're getting made you feel better because you're being heard. You recognize the mayor and the council are hearing what you're saying. I think with regard to what's happening now with the school board, some people feel like they're not being heard. And I would suggest as you go forward, since you asked, that you select a number of people that have similar beliefs and concerns to approach that board individually or collectively when you go to the meeting. But you, rather than, you may feel uncomfortable about the situation, rather than approach it from a negative standpoint, which you haven't, but oftentimes people do. And when we're negative or confrontational, we usually get that back. But if we just approach it from the standpoint of, I'm not understanding, this is where I'm coming from, these are my concerns, can you please explain to me how can you answer my concerns? And let them then answer those concerns and listen. We won't always hear what we like, but it'll be a great opportunity for you to have a better understanding, for them to have a better understanding where you're coming from. And I think if you have a group of folks that come forward, it shows those board members, just council, that these are the concerns and they can be heard. So I think you're doing it right.
Well, and the reason why I asked that is because, I mean, there's a stack going around that in by the year 2030, the average price in Utah, like home price in Utah, not even including taxes, is going to be $1 million. So I myself will be priced out of my own home. I'm not even on a fixed income yet. I'm in a condo. It is not worth the amount that it's being taxed at.
It's a national issue.
Absolutely.
We're looking at it from here, but if we go to other states, let's say run up to Boise, Idaho, and see if you can get a better deal. That's not happening. So it's a greater issue.
Well, and that's my big concern. It's just being able to come here as a citizen and basically be like, you know, looking at the future. That's a big part of what I do. Is I look at the future and just like, okay, what's coming down my way, and that's a big part of why I'm wanting to be so active about things. So that way I can be like, no, or yes, let's do this type thing.
Well,
So,
I think that's a great question. Though, what can I do to get involved? And it's hard when you, like the mayor said, you should show up at the last meeting with torches and pitchforks or something, and it doesn't work for the school board either. But if you like Dave said, if you have a group of citizens and they're continually there, it broadens the base of ideas. They can explain the problem to you, and more people can try and come up with solutions. If only the 5 of us and 3 people are here every meeting, not very many minds to have the best ideas in the entire city. I mean, we try, but same thing with the school board. I don't know what talk to them about their problem, and more minds is always going to be better solutions. The more people that are involved. So, and like not just the last day, but throughout the entire process. And ask them to explain the problem to you and try and come up with solutions throughout the whole process. So that's a great question. What can we do to change things?
If I could, your question, does anything tonight do anything? I guess to piggyback off of what was being said here, or 3 years ago, city council broke up in the summertime, and we held town halls, and we had 2 city council. We had three areas, three places: Utah State Community Center, and I don't remember what the other place was. All right here, city council rooms, to answer questions. That's what we just wanted to answer questions and talk, and we did that. I think did we do it twice? 2 nights. I think 2 nights we had a grand total of 10 people spread throughout the city, and it wasn't on the city. What I would like to offer to I wish this place was full to hear this, but I've offered it on Facebook to folks that think whatever they think and are negative. Listen, I don't know that I would want to come to a boring city council meeting on a 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock on a Thursday night. 1, I probably wouldn't remember, honestly. 2, the subject that I want to hear is probably tucked right out at the bottom of the agenda, maybe. And so what I suggest is that you get a group of like-minded citizens, 10 maybe, and find a place that's free to rent. Get in touch. I'm only going to speak for myself. But get in touch with me and give me a subject or 2, not just an open mic night, but because nothing's ever going to get solved, and you're never going to answer all the questions if it's just constant rapid-fire questions. If it's electricity, if it's fleet fund, if it's whatever, get in contact with me. I'll meet you any day of the week that I don't have something except for Sunday. Sunday's reserved, so I won't meet with you on Sunday if that's okay. But I'm more than happy to bring somebody from my staff that may be directly involved with what you're asking. My guess, I'm only going to speak for myself. So if a city council member wants to say the same thing, we need to be careful, because if we have more than 2 city councilmen, or me and 2 city councilmen, then it's a public meeting. We need to agenda it. We're violating the Open Public Meetings Act, state statute. But I'd love to come and visit with you and answer your questions and show you how we got to that decision. Yep, happy to do it. You can get on Brigham City website and you can contact the mayor, hit me up with an email, and we'll get it scheduled. I'll get it scheduled. Happy to do it.
Perfect. My wife has a question, but she doesn't want to come up, so I'll ask it. If I have time. I don't know if I have time.
You're fine.
Okay, perfect. So is this a one-time, one-year increase, or is this an example of like 1,000 went to 1,050? Now the budget will be 1,050 going forward. Like, is there like a chance to like regress, or like, because I know with like the electricity thing, how they like kept it at that percentage, is there an opportunity to regress if by an act of God things actually come down with inflation?
Yeah, so I think Mr. Cotter explained it really well. Once the tax rate is set tonight, then we're guaranteed to get that income going forward. The tax percentage will either go up or down based on, if there's no other increases, based on the value of your home. So that's the way it's written at the legislature. I wish you could regress.
Yeah, so city council absolutely can decrease the tax
Decrease
rate.
the tax
I think
rate, yes.
the only thing that I would add is that what we're talking about with this tax is an ongoing expense. So I hope you're right that the cost of an ambulance and fire truck and police and everything else goes down. But
Fingers crossed, everything crossed.
haven't seen that happen in my lifetime.
Listen, I can hope. I'm an 80s millennial. I've seen too much for my lifetime.
Yep.
I've had enough. But, okay. All right. That's all I have.
That's a great comment. Just so you know that behind the scenes, I have asked legal workshop, can we just increase a fee that the city has? And if something goes down, we can just take that fee off, and it's just not legally possible.
Even, I don't know, that's crazy to me. I'll have to do some more research on that just so I can understand it better. But this isn't the time or place for that. So I do have a question though. On 700 South, like right past Wendy's, there is I don't know if it's a telephone pole or like an electric pole that is like being ratchet strapped to another existing pole. Like, is that on the docket to being fixed? Because it makes me nervous every time I drive by.
I know the answer, but I'll let Derek answer.
Yeah, I don't think we should answer publicly. We can talk. Grab our power director on the way out. And he can take it out. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Do you know about the Brigham City app? And if you have the Brigham City app, every Friday before our council meetings, our recorder downloads the city packet, and any citizen can see what the agenda and what the packet is, just like we can.
Gotcha.
And that gives you an idea and the minutes from the previous meeting. And so any citizen can have access to the same information. And before the next city council meeting, all of our numbers are available, our emails, for you to ask any questions. I know we go through it and we'll call administration and ask for clarification on certain items that we're going to be discussing. And when you get used to doing that, you can start to see how things kind of ebb and flow and the information, and you can always have that information to go back to see, you know, what changes are being made.
Yeah. Well, I try to watch it on YouTube. I knew that was on YouTube. So.
But that's accessible at any time. You can go and find any city council packet from any of the meetings and get downloaded information for all the agenda items.
Gotcha. Okay, well, I'll have to look that up. Is it just Brigham City Co. or for the app?
The Brigham City app.
Yeah, just go on your phone.
web
It's in the App Store, Brigham City.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's awesome.
And it's a great. There's a lot of announcements on it. There's links to it.
And turn your notifications on.
It's on the
Yeah,
web
perfect.
page every
It's really
week as well.
It's on the website as well, Brigham City website as well. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, man, did you? Okay, perfect.
Tell me if I'm loud enough. You always tell me I'm not loud enough. Julie Larson, Brigham City, Utah. And the comments I'm going to make for you, because I've been making them by the day, by the week, and they may not be in order, they may not make any sense to you, but try to incorporate them and think about them. The very first thing I'd like to ask is, number one, when I got my tax notice, my glasses on, got my magnifying glass, and I still could not read the print. So therefore, I began to try to find somebody who could help me do that. And they said that they were short on space, but there's a place about like that down below that they could have made it a little bit bigger so that we could have read it. I noticed the colored circle on the corner didn't have any problem getting it space, tell you how much each piece was going to be. The next thing I noticed was you had put in the article that it was 4.35%, but I actually listened to the entirety of, I believe it was your July the 6th or the 5th. I listened to that whole thing, and it split up, and you guys broke up, and then another hour, and we started again, and I listened to the whole thing, and so I was in, Eric's making faces, please tell him that was there. But anyway, so that gave me some more information to look at. And I sat here in this room and listened to you talk about the budget and the amount of money that was necessary to go to TNT for and the percentage that it would be. The amount of money that you were dealing with at that moment in time was $70,000. And you figured you could break it in half and find it somewhere. So I thought, okay, but now when I read the paper, we are still only at 4.35%. And yet the amount of money that you're going to get with that through TNT is going to be $155,000. So I'm a little bit confused by those two numbers and how we got from 70 to 155, and there was no meeting in between that would explain that to me. So maybe you can.
I think Tom explained that in his presentation. It was 155 for fleet, and then after that meeting, that's when we finally found out about the insurance, which was 70. So it's two different things.
But Mr. Mayor, in this room twice, maybe three times in the council meeting, people are going to think I'm crazy, but I come and sit on the back row, and I don't leave till the meeting's over. But I heard you say at least three times when somebody said, why are we going to raise the money for the fleet fund? And you said, oh, the fleet fund is fine. We have the money, there's no problem. So now when I read in the newspaper that we were using most of the money to cover the fleet fund, I got a little confused with that too.
Yeah, I can guarantee I didn't say that.
Yeah, it probably is if you have to dig for it. But the thing that bothers me is we as citizens, and we were reminded many times as citizens that we had to watch out for inflation, and watch what was going on and everything. But yet, when we ask our city fathers about inflation, it's not the prominent part of the equation that you would think it would be, as we as private citizens are trying to make it so that we can at least live and go to the grocery store. So, and I did finally find the number down at the bottom.
3 minutes.
3 minutes?
I think we've given some other people.
Yeah, you can
time, though.
finish your thought.
I don't have a problem with giving her extra time.
Yeah, finish your thought, Julie.
Increased revenue, fleet fund, and there's no R&R account, and the insurance costs you keep saying you can't do. I worked for a place where we had to have that at the very beginning, and we always got it. And the print was illegible with the space at the bottom. 2.5% COLA for the executive increase, and we don't know where, it didn't say where we were getting that money from, but magically have to churn up to get that. And the thing that really bothered me the most, my daughter brought this to my attention, in the city parks, over the years, I live by one, we have always had the soccer and the soccer goals that would go up east, and people could go there and use them and play. Now, we're not so much focused on raising property taxes as we are on raising fees. Every time you raise a fee, you raise a property tax. Now you have to pay to rent the field, you have to pay to use the equipment, and I'd like to know why we had to send down to Perry for $24 a day to have pets housed, but we couldn't in Brigham City figure out a way to do that and make the revenue from that. So, and I'm just a little confused by some of what I'm seeing.
Okay, hold on a sec.
What?
Say the Perry thing again.
Yeah, they opened up the little house down there that'll have the overflow for the dog catchers and for the,
In Perry?
yeah.
Yeah, that's for their own animals, not Brigham City's.
But they've made it sound like they would take the overflow.
No, so
that
Ellie's,
is taken.
yes, in the paper it did say that Perry has got a contract with Ellie's Pet Hotel to take Perry's animals because Brigham City isn't taking anybody's animals outside of Brigham City's corporate limits because nobody is paying for that except for Brigham City citizens. And so we didn't think it's fair that all of Brigham City citizens paid for Perry's animals.
All the fees that we pay, couldn't we have expanded the doghouse and put an addition on it and then put a fee to anybody that's
I'm not
outside the city
understand
limits?
what doghouse you're referring
Yeah,
to.
the town.
The animal shelter?
Yeah. Because
So-
that's what's going in down there. They're taking the sets that are overflow, they can't put here. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
No, Perry's only taken Perry's animals. Brigham City's only taken Brigham City's animals now.
I'm sorry I bother you and
No, that's okay. I'm just
people,
trying to make sure I
I'm
understand.
just gonna tell the public that they're one person. They say it makes a difference, and some of the council members I truly believe that to them it makes a difference. Some people see you sitting there and they look at you and laugh and say, "What are you going to say tonight?" And I think sometimes I'm a comedy act, but that doesn't bother me a bit. So I think that we need to look at the notification, particularly. That was very bothersome, because I don't even have a way of getting any and get that blown up so I can look at it and compare. 55 years I've been getting my tax notices, and I've never seen anything that equals that.
Are you talking about the county mailed out tax notice?
Yes.
Yeah, so that would be a county issue.
And I went to the county,
Okay.
and they said they couldn't help me.
Yeah,
they couldn't blow it
I
up
wish
and
we
they
could do
couldn't help me.
something about it, but that's,
So there you go.
Yeah.
So I'm here listening to Truth and Taxation, and can't even verify half of the information I've been given. Thank you.
sure. Thank you. Is there any other public hearing comment? Sure.
Yeah, so, Ben Soholt, Brigham City. So I just wanted to let everybody know that it's probably not this tax increase that you're really wanting to fight a lot. It's probably going to be the school district at the meeting next week. That's where they're really hiking taxes. That one, so Brigham City taxes, like I said, for me, it's only going up like maybe $2. For the school district, it's going up more than 200. So that's the one that I think we should all be focusing on rather than fighting over $2.
Julianne, I think you mentioned park fees that we're charging for soccer. Yeah, so the difference is, no, that's a great question, just for some clarification, because there isn't, it's confusing online on Facebook. So if you'd like to displace the public's ability to go and use that park whenever they wanted to, which is what a soccer team or a baseball team or a lacrosse team would do by reserving that field, then we charge a fee for displacing the public. There's a fee associated with that. If you just want to show up with 10 people and play soccer and not reserve it, there's no fee involved in that. Oh, you need to come up, Juliana. Yes, and that is true. If you would like to reserve an hour for a soccer team to either play a game or practice, there is a fee
Which
involved.
eliminates that as a convenience factor that used to be in every park that had a soccer setup.
And I agree. I think
pay,
what you're
you have to
not,
pay.
sorry, I don't mean to talk over you. I think what you're not considering is those soccer teams aren't purely Brigham based. Most of those teams have citizens from other communities that are coming to Brigham City taxpayer-funded fields. And so in order for those teams that are consisting of people from around Brigham City that don't pay Brigham City fees to maintain those fields or even make those fields, but they want to reserve time on those fields, then yes, there's a fee applied. But if those same citizens currently want to just show up and have a family reunion and play soccer and don't reserve, our parks are open 24 hours. Well, I don't know about 24 hour. From 10 to 6 they're not. But they can show up anytime and play, bring around the rosies, climb the trees, whatever.
I just to clarify, I don't think it matters. We don't care where they're from.
No, but that's the reason why we charge a fee.
Well, the
if it was a whole
the
Brigham
fee is
City
just
team,
to reserve the field.
Yeah, to reserve,
and
right.
that's for anybody, any pavilion, any. If you want to reserve the pool, there's a fee. That gives you the exclusive right to use it. That's all the fee is. In the soccer leagues, the problem there is if they don't pay a field and somebody else is already there, then they can't kick the people off, play their scheduled games.
That's true.
I guess the whole point of my trying to talk to the council was to let you know that there are some places that I still believe in the budget that you can work and like R&R, repair and replace, and make sure that you. I mean, everybody knows there's going to be inflation, but nobody accounted for it in the master plan of this recycle thing for the fleet. So consequently, you have an increase, and you didn't plan that. And I think that's where I'm trying to get at is plan things, look at things, and and poor Derek, he's over there shaking his head, and I don't blame him. He has to deal with me too much. But I just wish that we could get to where we look at it and don't just come with some notion and then just do it. But I appreciate the fact that you're trying to cut that down. And I'm not here to complain about what the school board does. I already had a conversation with them a couple of years ago about their R&R account. And I said, well, if you got that much money, why do you need a raise? So anyway, but I just would like to see if we could get this a little bit better. And Mr. Mayor, you can throw me out when I say this one, so I don't care. I'm too old to make it for it to matter. One night when you had all these parents and all these children here.
When they're getting awards? Or?
Yeah. Uh-huh. And just when they were finishing, sitting down, he said, oh, you might not want to stay because it gets real boring from here. And that was the night it was going to be budget stuff. So how boring can it get with that, with the mayor not inviting? Point taken.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Please come forward. Council seeing is how there doesn't.
Mayor, there's no one that was on.
Oh, thank you for the reminder. We do have.
I do want to say though, real quick, I do think that we should put a couple of those soccer goals back up at Pioneer for access. I agree with you there.
There is an Amanda Reed who lives in Brigham City that that emailed in, said she wouldn't be able to attend tonight but wanted this read. Wanted it to be known that I disagree with the tax increase due to financial crisis of the economy, inflation rates being as high as they are, and the continually increasing that they are and continually increasing. You're milking dry. I'm pretty sure she meant to say udders, but she wrote otters. At this point, I'm offering nothing and offering nothing in return. I would like more information on city budget, these questions in particular. Why are we no longer self-sustaining and why are we overspending? What are the pay rates of city employees in comparable cities to ours? What I mean by that is not in population, but in economical equality. I ask that because I believe that our community is filled with lower income, single income, and senior income, which are all limited. We might have a decent population, but the economical type of our community is not similar to other cities. Due to restrictions of Brigham City, many businesses refuse to move here, even though it is extremely feasible. Refuse to move here, even though it is extremely feasible to move here. Many have been turned away because of the high increase in taxes or just being here in general is just really expensive. What are we doing to fix that? Increasing business revenue would solve some of the problems here, but all I've seen and all I've experienced is pigeonholing businesses that we already currently have and not allowing them to flourish, not allowing them to grow, not supporting them, or completely refusing them, which forces the city to rely on its citizens, which I've already explained their situation. I believe that other cities are not comparable to ours, that are comparable to ours, have a better economy as far as business goes. So to compare our rates of pay to theirs is unreasonable and truly incomparable, but I believe that's what's being done here. Figure out how to say yes to businesses rather than saying no. A very good example of this is the Fun Center situation. They are attempting to make improvements, and so far those improvements have been squashed, limiting, and detrimental to the business. Brigham City residents are in dire need and have wanted a family-friendly, fun place to enjoy themselves. Figure out how to say yes in reasonable ways for reasonable means. That's just an example. I have my own personal examples where I've been told on several accounts in my own endeavors to improve my own business. I since learned that several others have requested similar things than I and were also denied. Okay, so figure out how to say yes rather than pigeonholing, no left and right. Do what do we need? We need more businesses. We need more opportunities. We need building structures filled. Make it reasonable and feasible for businesses to flourish here. And that is Amanda Reed comments. And I have reached out to Amanda through email and gave her my phone number and asked her to give me a call so I can go through those questions, because I don't think email is sufficient because you can't have a dialogue. So, all right. Thing is how there isn't any other public comment, we would entertain a motion to close public hearing. We have a motion by Councilmember Smith. Do we have a second?
Second.
A second by Councilmember Jensen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. Public hearing is now closed. This was the only thing agended was the public hearing, and so we will entertain a motion to adjourn. Move. I have a motion by Councilmember Smith to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Hipp. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Nobody ever opposes adjourning. All right, we stand adjourned. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Commissioner